Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Shootaround. I am the only host of this podcast, Rudy Saint-Claire, and joining me, as is tradition, today, below me is the one and only Jacob R.R. Buckets, and to my camera left, I think, is Alex, aka AlexHoops, and now joining us as the new permanent fourth man on the Shootaround is Nick, aka Motown Noah.
I'm scratching my armpits because I didn't know when you were going to switch the camera over. I look like a chimp. Switch the camera over. I'm over here throwing shit at the camera. Come on, Rudy.
Sorry, I did not know that you were going when I was ready to introduce you.
Why the hell did you call me Jacob R.R. Buckets like I wrote fucking Game of Thrones?
It's just something I've done before, and I love calling back to previous episodes. Today, we're going to kick it off with some rapid-fire news, give you like 10-ish headlines and reactions in about 10-ish minutes, give or take. You know, this is a live environment, and it is one that is brought to you by our chat. We already got some early donations, so shout out to Jesse Wild and Richie Miller for the donations. We're going to kick it off with their Qs and give them some A's. Jesse Wild, for 2.79 Canadian Spackaroos, says, what are your thoughts on the Raptors core of RJ, IQ, and Scotty?
That's what it says.
Mm-hmm.
It's no one.
Yeah, how do we feel about the Raptors, fellas? Good.
Yeah, Emmanuel Quickly is good. I think the RJ Barrett Scotty fits weird. It's something interesting to build on forward. You're far from like close to anywhere near done being rebuilding, but you've got some decent foundational pieces, I guess.
Yeah, I just don't watch. I just don't watch Toronto because to me it's like them in Brooklyn. It's like the same picture. You're just kind of like, I don't know. You got some stuff, but like I don't know. Can I give a quick thing? Hey, the question is not about Cam Johnson. It's not Cam Johnson's fault that he doesn't have a point guard. You know what I mean? People like to shit on Cam Johnson. Just throwing that out there. It's not his fault.
Yeah, if only they had Cam Johnson.
What's wrong with
many people are hating
shit on Cam Johnson?
No, I'm just people just hate on him. I'm like, it's not his fucking fault.
I think the Raptors are like one home run in the draft away from having one of the best young cores in the league. You know, based on those guys, that's an elite supporting cast, but does not have a number one, if you will. Maybe Scotty can be that guy, and I'm just ignorant, but that's my casual perspective.
No way.
Richie Miller also gave us $2 USD to ask us what are our thoughts on Cat KD swap if Minnesota and Phoenix flame out.
I think Phoenix won't do that. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I don't think that's a comparable, like, realistic trade unless KD just asks out. But as far as I understand, he's pretty content in Phoenix. And Minnesota trading Cat seems a little cruel.
Yeah, KD's like what, a top 10, top 15 at worst. Like I wouldn't say. I would say he's top 10, but like I don't.
I so badly want Kevin Durant to go back to the OKC Thunder. I think it'd be so sick if he was just SGA's second option and they won some titles.
Boring.
I think that's the only way he could truly save his legacy, to be honest.
Dog, that's not real. This whole save that's not real. It's not real. It's so not real. And I understand that you made an hour-long video on this, and I'm sure it elegantly explains why to you this is real. But dog, it's not real. If JJ Redick has done anything right in the last week, it was the point that he had about KD, where he's like, dog, like 10 years from now when he's out of the league and we've moved on, all this bullshit that people have gone through, these hoops that people have jumped through throughout his career to make him look like an asshole. Like I'm not saying that he hasn't done anything, like he hasn't been up to some horse shittery in his career, but like that motherfucker, he's just got it. He's just got it. He always has. He's won championships. He's won finals MVPs. He's won regular season MVPs, all-stars, all MVP or all NBAs. Like he's just always been that fucking guy. And the narrative shit has never been real.
He's a really high level second option. I agree.
Absolute insanity. That's wild hating. David also gave us 5 USD more or less to say, genuinely, what would the Celtics need to do if they don't win the chip or at worst lose earlier in the playoffs? And we'll definitely discuss this at large later in the pod when we actually break down what the playoffs would look like if they ended today. We're going to go through the whole bracket, theoretically predicting the championship. But as we'll discuss then, there are some layers of complication to that. But really quick, what do we think about the Celtics? Should they not win it all this season?
I don't know about not winning it all. If they don't make the finals, then what are we doing? Like at this point, it's just like you guys can't get it done because this is as good as it gets in terms of a starting lineup, pretty much. Like other than like just having 2 superstars, you don't have that factor. But like this is about as solid a starting lineup as you get. They've got all the experience in the world. There is not a modicum of an excuse here. If an injury happened, then that obviously is one. But a healthy playoff run, if they don't make the finals, that's embarrassing. I think they could, if they lost to the Nuggets, run it back. Who really cares? That's just how it goes. But you got to win this Eastern Conference. There's no way.
It also, I feel like, is contingent on how they lose, like why they lose, whose fault was it? And for the sake of the mental exercise, what is like the chopping block this summer?
I think if you could trade Jaylen Brown for like a really high level point guard, like a playmaker, because that's the thing that like the Celtics have a egalitarian offense. There's a lot of I said it. There's a lot of good.
You're welcome for that word.
It's a word I steal from Alex all the time, but it's a good word. It makes me seem like a smarty pants. But
nothing better than seeming smart.
Yeah, right. But not actually putting in the effort to be smart. That's exhausting.
You get to have your cake and eat it too, whatever that means.
That's a fool's work.
Fool's errand. I don't know what the fuck I was saying. Everybody on that team is a decent passer, but I feel like offenses are leaning more towards like just needing that bona fide fucking goddamn great playmaker. And consistently in the playoffs, I think Jason Tatum being an okay playmaker has been a huge hindrance for them. So getting someone in there who can be an excellent one, that's what I would do.
All right. Now hear me out. Okay?
Trae Young.
No. We're zagging even harder. Okay. Dallas loses. Minnesota beats them in the first round. Dallas flames out. Oh my God. Can't believe this. People start to talk in Dallas. What the hell's going on down there? And then you think to yourself, well, we have Jaylen Brown and like Derek White and stuff. Can we have Luka?
No.
You don't think so?
I think if Luka asked for a trade and he's not like, he probably would be because it's just how stars operate. But if he wasn't like very strictly, I want to go to one of these 2 or 3 teams.
Yeah.
If Luka went on the trade market right now, the OKC Thunder just acquired Luka Doncic. That's what that's what happens. They can easily make the best offer of anyone else, and why the fuck wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Alex?
I mean, I feel like if you're going to make like a trade like that for someone like Luka, it's different when they're like young and on like the rookie scale contract. Like I know Luka's still on his rookie max extension. I feel like you have to give up. You can't just give up like picks and salary filler for a player like that. Like with Kevin Durant, it was a little different because he's older. He's on like a different kind of structure of a contract. But with someone like Luka, it's like you would have to give up a good young player, like an actually good young player, not like a J-Dub. And I love J-Dub, but there's levels.
You mean it need to be a Chet?
No, it would need to be like a Shea. I don't think Dallas is trading
a Luka for
a Shea.
How many teams are trading a top 6 player? No one's trading a top 6 player, get alone a young one. There's not enough examples of that.
Yeah, so no one's trading for Luka. It's just not going to happen. I just don't think it would happen. I just don't think anyone realistically could put together a package that would actually lead to Luka getting traded.
It would have to include a guy like Shea to get.
Luka. There can be a world. It wouldn't be this year, but there can be a world where Luka is gonna leave one way or the other, so you have to trade him.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
Maybe if he had a year left on his contract.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I feel like will happen. I'm kind of waiting on it to happen, and I kind of feel like the reason that Sam Presti hasn't cashed in on those picks at all. As he's like making sure when he does, he gets a big fucking fish.
Or maybe he's stupid. We haven't considered
Or
that.
he's stupid and just addicted to draft picks. But one day we'll find out.
Man, we are just raking in the super chats right now. Thank you so much for all the support from the chat. We are going to just blast through those before we get to that rapid fire news segment, because I think it's a little bit more pressing when people give us money to respect their money and give the people what they want. Neil, frequent chatter, appreciate that you gave us $10 reviews to say, I'm dying to hear what you think of the Magic. Seems like they're stepping up at exactly the right time. I saw Kofi made a video recently. I don't know if y'all are familiar with him. I'm pretty sure you are. Saying that he's jealous of the Orlando Magic, albeit it's coming from a Pistons perspective. Alex, I feel like your fandom is the only one that doesn't have room to be jealous of the Orlando Magic, because they're like the OKC East. That's kind of something that we've canonized on this podcast. So you have no reason to be jealous. I have some reason to be jealous as a Grizzlies fan. Jacob, I know you do, because your whole fandom is on the outs. And Nick, you're also a Pistons fan, so I reckon we all have reason to be jealous of the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, really, we should all team up and kill Alex for his privilege, because we just are in the mud.
I don't think
I like how your first instinct was resorting to killing me.
Well, we don't have to kill you. That's a couple of stabs.
Goodness.
Man, I don't think we should conduct any acts of violence.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize for the suggestion of violence.
Neil donates $10 and Jacob fucking murders Alex. What the fuck just happened?
I want that cut.
Wild.
I want that $250. Rudy, you said they're the OKC of the East. I hate that take. I've heard people say that. I think there's levels there. Like, I think the Magic have good playoff team if they keep up the stretch. They could obviously change things. Maybe Paolo has a higher ceiling than I think, but they could be a good playoff team, like a very good playoff team for a while, whereas I think the Thunder can be a multiple-time championship team. Obviously, we'll see how it plays out, but in terms of like the ceiling, the true upside, I think there's quite a significant difference. I guess they're the closest thing to it in the East, but that's kind of like the Hawks being the Spurs of the East. It's like, okay, sure, get swept by LeBron. Who cares?
Yeah, back in the day when they had Kyle Korver and all of them making the starting lineup was the player of the week one time.
That's so corny.
I thought it was extremely cute.
I think it's corny as hell.
But I mean, I think all the Magic's young core have enough upside to where in a year or two they could be at the contending level very easily. Paolo is figuring it out. I know that he's not like our favorite archetype of player, but he's a good first option with Franz as like a compliment there, and they have lots of good role players that have high potential like Jalen Suggs, and I think Wendell Carter's taken a step back this season statistically, but overall I still believe in Wendell Carter personally. So I think the Magic have a lot going on. I do like them a lot, and maybe they'll sneak into we'll talk about this later, but they'll sneak by a team and get into the second round, little upset alert.
Rudy, it's interesting that you bring up Jalen Suggs, because it reminds me of a conversation that we were having backstage right before the show started today. And this makes me think of a guy named Anthony Black, who recently did a jersey swap that Alex said he had something he wanted to say about it. So Alex, you wanted to bring it up on the show. What do you got on the Grady Dick Anthony Black jersey swap?
I had nothing to add to it
topic.
other than it's just funny, and I hope he does a jersey swap with Nasir Little.
Okay,
that would be perfect.
I thought there was a 50-50 chance Alex said nothing about that.
No, that happened. That actually happened.
Right. But I thought you were just like, so Alex has some deep thoughts on this. Alex?
No.
My deep thoughts are it was hilarious.
Yeah.
He was like, are we going to bring this up? Go ahead, Rudy.
Why do I even bother? Gave us $5 to ask us. Do you think Rudy Gobert is overpaid considering his lack of offensive skills? He's paid contractually almost the same as Joel Embiid, for reference. This is more of an indictment on the max contract than it is on Rudy Gobert and like how he's paid.
Obviously, fucking Rudy Gobert is overpaid. I don't think there's anyone who's arguing against that. Is it by? Is it by as big of a degree as people act like it is? That's more the conversation. It's definitely an overpay, but it's not by like some earth-shattering margin. Go ahead.
do you want the guy who's been the greatest defender of the modern era? That's how much he costs. That's how much he costs. Sorry about it. Do you want the guy who's like consistently like top 5 in screen? Well, I'm just going by if you're an accolades driven guy, right? It's him. It's him and in this last decade, Draymond, like who else would have, maybe Kawhi, but like we're just going strictly by depoys.
Look, my logic here is purely that I'm just not going to pay a defensive player that much, at least in my ideal world. Utah, right? Yeah, Utah gave him the money, obviously. Yeah. Utah was put in the position to be forced to pay him a shitload of money because of the Utah Jazz. But he's making superstar money. So and he's not. No. Even if you're a defensive superstar, you're not a superstar in the NBA. Not today. No. So he's being overpaid because he makes superstar money. I think Rudy Gobert is worth $30 million a year, but he's at like 40.
Is that 4-time defensive player of the year money, or is that Rudy Gobert money? Is $30 million a year what you would pay a guy who has won 4 defensive player of the year awards?
Yeah, I guess I would with someone with, to be fair, I would with someone with like Rudy Gobert's offensive skill, because I think we act like he has no offensive skill.
But he does.
He works well in the offense for what he is. I was thinking like Ben Wallace, and I'm like, I don't know if I'd pay Ben Wallace $30 million a year today if he's going to average 6 points.
Yeah.
But 16 points, a couple of offensive rebounds, really good lob target, pick and roll, good screener. That's still positive offensive things. So I would pay Rudy Gobert 30. The defensive player of the year would depend on what their offensive skill set was.
Overall, I don't think Rudy Gobert is overpaid personally. I know you said it's kind of a given that he's overpaid, but I think it's more just like the structure of how the NBA works. That guy like Rudy Gobert just mandates getting that type of money. As long as we're in like a salary cap era, that sort of seems like what's fair. But we could argue about that till the cows come home. El Sombra gave us $10 ruse, saying since 2010, 10 teams finished top 10 in both O and D. Of those, 7 won the title this season. OKC and Boston right now are top 10 in both this season, while being the 2 highest in net rating. Thoughts for OKC? Alex, I feel like this one is much more directed at you than anyone else as the resident OKC watcher.
So I think Denver is also top 10 in both, or at least they have been for like 99% of the season, but not the point of the question. I think the more important statistic here is, if we're going to get real nerdy, is the fact that OKC is, I believe, top 5 in both half-court offensive rating and half-court defensive rating. And that's a much bigger indicator for postseason success. Is like, having a good offense and defense during the regular season, top 10 in both, is a very good indicator for a championship caliber team. But I think like of the last 10 or 15 champions, I think all but maybe 1 or 2 of those have been top 10 in half court defense and offense. So that's kind of the thing about OKC that makes me a little more confident heading into the postseason, is like, okay, they can handle the slower pace of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about the half-court game in terms of playoff predictors on this podcast this season, and I'm very curious to see if that will be kind of confirmed, or maybe something will break convention this offseason. We also have,
by the way, Denver was top 10.
Yeah, they're top 10 in defense right now, and 7th in offense.
10th in defense,
yeah. Universal Discussions gave us $5 to say Celtics are way overrated, lol. People have to learn from past mistakes favoring them. Yeah, I mean, we'll cover the Celtics
they're
a little bit more
enough team
later in the pod.
They were in the past. They're so different.
I think it all depends on your judgment of their quote unquote top 2 guys, JB and Jalen. Depending on your opinion on them, depends on how overrated they are.
Yeah, Jason Tatum and their 4th best guy.
And then a quick couple 1-2s. We just got a little comment from El Sombra again. Gave us $2. Appreciate it. Say, y'all wild for thinking OKC would trade SGA, period. I don't think we do think that. We're just suggesting like that's the level of player. Yeah, it's that. It's an outrageous example. We're very much saying that we don't think OKC would trade SGA.
Yeah.
And then Hoodie gave us $1 with no chat. Appreciate the donation,
Thanks.
Hoodie.
That's my favorite donation.
Perfect relationship between creator and viewer.
Don't speak too quickly. He also gave us $2 to say Nick's not the only 5'8" person signed to a 10-day.
Nick's not 5'8". Where did you get that from? I've stood next to Nick. He's like 5'10", 5'11", maybe.
So here's
That's
what's
5'8".
annoying. I'm actually 5'11", but I just say 5'10", because if I say 5'11", then it means I'm 5'9". But if I was actually 5'11", I would say I'm 6 foot. So I just say 5'10".
Oh, that's boy math.
That's boy math.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Rather than reaching for the 6 foot, that's much more.
No,
that's
I got
much
nothing
more
to lie about. I'm not
admirable.
insecure about that. I don't care about that.
Yeah, you don't have any reason to be. You're still above average height. People are babies. Rudy is short, though. That's just true.
So before we get into predicting the playoffs, if they were to start today, we're going to cover some headlines real quick, give you your daily dose of NBA news. DeAndre Ayton said that part of the reason he had a slow start to the season was that he was sleeping on an air mattress. So when is the time that an air mattress has impacted your performance in real life, fellas?
I have a take about this whole situation.
Go off.
I think DeAndre, I don't know who his manager is or who his agent is. I guess players don't have managers, they have agents. I think DeAndre Ayton needs to fire his agent because his agent should have seen or known that he was sleeping on an air mattress and been like, dog, here's a sponsorship deal with Purple Mattresses. We're gonna send you.
I got a free mattress. I got a free mattress from a sponsor. I can do it. DeAndre Ayton can't do it.
Not to mention that a roll-up mattress from Walmart's like $200.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think his agent should have taken care of that.
I don't hold DeAndre million. He makes like 30 mil.
if he's dealing with mental health struggles, it can be debilitating to go out there and just do basic stuff like that. I understand that. So his agent should have taken care of that for him. That's all I got to say about
Realistically, if he's maintaining the routine of an NBA player, he's going outside every once in a while. Yeah, I'm sure he's passed by a Walmart at some point in training camp.
This never occurred to him. Doesn't know that they sell them there, especially for so cheap.
I know that's a crazy excuse. I don't disagree that it could fuck you up. That I believe that. But why the fuck were you doing it in the first place?
I think one of the times that a air mattress has cost me my early season performance has been one of the times where we had all of us over at Jacob's house, and my air mattress was the one that deflated the most overnight. So I'd go to sleep in the big air mattress, and by the time I woke up, I was on the floor.
Yeah,
which is quite the journey. But moving on from that, Jalen Green had 42 points, a career high in the recent win. We covered this in the video promoting this that came out right before this podcast. Do we still believe in Jalen Green? People in our circle are calling him a top percentile athlete with good feel for the game, but still questioning overall if you're buying into him.
Good feel is debatable. Good feel for shooting, getting separation, and shooting a basketball, but everything else, the feel's kind of rough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a guy who's athletic and can score and still believe in him. Defense is something that can be coached. Playmaking, maybe not something that could be coached to the same extreme as defense, but it's still coachable. So I think the upside with Jalen Green is there. This is playmaking is my casual perspective.
In my personal opinion, playmaking is the thing that's the hardest to develop. From what I have seen, you don't really see guys go from bad playmakers to excellent ones. They usually have at least some sort of sign of being able to be a good playmaker early on in their career. And if you have a guy who's just a bad playmaker, at best, you're going to get him to be okay. You're not going to get a good playmaker out of that guy unless I'm trying to think of some example of that, if there is one provided to me. But
yeah, I think Jalen Green's going to be fine, but I think at this point it's an expectations thing. If you're expecting him to be a multi-time scoring title winner, like some people were saying before he got drafted, it's okay, that might not be in the cards anymore. But microwave score, 20 point per game, decent efficiency. Maybe you can do a little bonus passing here and there in certain situations. Yeah,
he's
that's
just Zach LaVine.
Calling him
Go
just
ahead,
Zach LaVine.
I think you guys nailed it. What's next, Rudy?
The Grizzlies are signing their record-breaking 29th player to their roster this season, breaking their own previous record of 28 from a few years ago. So as the Grizzlies are bearing the majority of the injury burden for the whole NBA this season as the most hurt team in the league, I wanted to ask you guys, what's the most injured you have been? I've broken my arm 3 times, but I've also had kidney stones just as many, if not more times, which I think is a more severe injury than a broken bone. But hey, what about you?
So you said 28 guys on the roster this year.
29.
29
in like 2018 or something like that.
Gotcha. 29 guys on. Is Nick Cannon the GM? The fuck?
Nope, we're just that hurt, man. Our injury report on Twitter has been a screenshot of the Notes app most of the season. It doesn't even fit in a tweet.
Jacob had 0 reaction to that, and like that was a really good joke. I just want to make sure that we give credit.
Sorry, I was checking the community post. I apologize.
Most injured I've ever been. I've never broken a bone. Like I've never done anything like that. I think like a sprained wrist when I was younger. I think I had like I got concussed in football and like, but that's not real. Like that doesn't count. So yeah, I've never really been that hurt in my life.
I had a nail go through my hand, and that's the reason that I am called Rusty Buckets.
I got bit in the face by a dog, 5 stitches in my lip.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Not like I was there, but you've mentioned that in the past.
I ran,
and then we went to Jacob's house that one time, and I was terrified of Thor because I was like, I'm gonna get bit in the face again and have to get stitches.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anthony Edwards did one of the biggest slams of the year, at least, on John Collins, so much that he was concussed afterwards. And then there was also a couple more super cool dunks. The Grizzlies had a putback slam, I believe, where 2 guys dunked it at the same time. And there was one more that I'm forgetting about. That was just a phenomenal slam that same night. Do you have a favorite dunk of the season? And is it this one? What, are you laughing at my double dunk comment?
No, I know I'm not supposed to look at chat, but I've seen a couple chats now that have been hilarious.
Alex out here breaking the rules, but it's okay. We're still in the first portion of the pod.
Favorite dunk of the season? Didn't Ant have one like 2 weeks ago? Oh, I'm thinking of the block. No, that was the block that he had against the Pacers. That's what I'm thinking.
Just as good.
Is just as good. That dunk was as good as the block was, but I think the block was actually better.
That's a crazy, like, if there's a good chance those are his top 2 highlights of the season. That's a pretty remarkable top 2.
Yeah.
Like those are
We're probably going to get 2 better ones.
Highlights.
Maybe not over the block.
But those are probably the 2 best highlights of his
career.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Suddenly he added like an extra 10 inches to his vertical or something.
Yeah, I saw something this morning. It was the average height when he dunks that he gets off the ground this season is 3 feet off the ground. The fuck?
That's freaking great.
Huh?
Oh my god.
It was 2.99, but fuck off. It was 3 feet. Like,
right. You can round up at that point.
Right.
36 inches.
Call it. Knicks OG Anunoby, quote unquote, isn't comfortable playing through pain. Sort of seems to be the antithesis of the Luol Deng treatment for someone in that role on that Tom Thibodeau Knicks team. Fellas, are you comfortable playing through pain? Or
this is the realest shit an NBA player has ever said. And if he gets shit for this, I like, because 2 things are true in this situation. I can't applaud this while also being like, hey, these motherfuckers need to play in games. You know what I mean? We get all bent out of shape over stars sitting out of games. But then once OG Anunoby is like, nah, I don't really feel like it. I'm like, you know what? Go off, King. Like, go hop on a ferry, go to Staten Island or something. Like, enjoy the day off, OG. Like, that's fine. Yeah, like, that's cool.
My
but
tummy
it's very relatable.
OG said my tummy hurts and I am not being brave about it.
And then Zion Williamson is allegedly playing the best basketball of his career and has lost 25 pounds since the turn of the calendar year. When's the last time you lost 25 pounds in 2.5 months, fellas?
2020.
That's a sad question. I feel like for 99% of people.
I legitimately did
yeah,
that.
it's not something that's normal. Very much a pro athlete's metric.
Yeah, you either are terminally ill or you have debilitating.
You're taking Ozempic. It's not that big of a deal.
Well,
I was working out 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, and eating 1,900 calories a day. So I lost almost 30 pounds in 2 months.
Okay, well that's not
Yeah.
It's
Turns out you're the professional athlete.
1,900 calories is
that's a little
rough for someone my
deficit.
size. For my size, yeah.
Both times I moved to major cities, when I first moved to Chicago and then when I moved to Los Angeles, both times I immediately lost a ton of weight because I was just walking so much.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I figured out where to get weed from, I was like, and I just gained all my weight back.
That's very real. Oh man.
Yeah. For me, it's last time I lost weight that quickly was when I just cut out meat. I cut out meat and just immediately nothing else substitute. It was oh, what am I gonna do? Just eat a bunch of candy? There's just
I will not
a lot harder to pack in calories when you're not eating cheeseburgers. And then Nikola Jokic, speaking of cheeseburgers, endorses Luka Doncic as the league's best, quote unquote. I think he's the MVP. Do you think this carries weight in the media, or do you think that it's gonna come down to Tatum having the most impressive record, or Shai Gilgeous helping the Thunder lock up the 1 seed in the competitive West? Do you think Luka has a shot with the Jokic endorsement? And also, does this take Jokic out of it, or is this not the most Jokic thing ever?
Is this concession in the presidential election? Jokic just conceded.
LeBron
is an Andrew Yang situation.
LeBron did that in 2011 with Derrick Rose. He was yeah, Derrick Rose probably should be MVP.
Here's my thing. And I'm not going by Vegas. Vegas doesn't know anything, okay? But the motherfucker is minus 300. That guy is not losing. He's not losing. He's going to win the MVP. That's fine. It's okay. He deserves it, okay? But here's my thing. I was made to look like an asshole when I talked about Anthony Edwards ooh, no Karl Anthony Towns. Is there a world if Minnesota doesn't slip in the standings? It would be because of Anthony Edwards just going fucking berserk. And I don't know if you've seen this, and I don't know if you've heard about this, but Minnesota's kind of hanging around. Bad game against Denver, but not really also, because motherfucking nobody was playing in that game.
That was the definition of a moral victory. It was 100%. You lost, but you almost won.
And it was one of those games on the second night of a back-to-back, right? Anthony Edwards has sucked on back-to-backs all year. But dog, what he's trying to do for this team, he's kind of going for it a little bit. He's not going to win. Anthony Edwards is not going to win.
Too little, too late.
It's just there's not enough time. Even if they lock up the 1 seed and he it just can't happen. Just can't. It would be too reactionary, too knee jerk at the end of the season to just give it to him. It's fucking going to Jokic.
Just even if he concedes, it's going to Jokic.
It just is. It just is.
And can you imagine Jokic wins MVP this year and then wins a championship and finals MVP, and before he's 29, he has 3 MVPs, 2 championships, and 2 finals MVPs.
Yeah,
that's fucking remarkable.
Good resume.
I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan doesn't even have that. I think his second title, he was 30. I might be wrong, but
Alex, are you a SGA
Rusty Buckets saying that Nikola Jokic
we are as a podcast.
Yeah, he's going to be better than 90s? Michael Jordan. That's what I'm saying.
Oh man,
I can't co-sign that.
Can't do it. It's not canon on this podcast.
I respect your opinion.
You shouldn't.
And then finally, LeBron James is a peer now. He is a podcaster. Him and JJ Redick have started their own podcast where apparently it's meant to celebrate the game and educate people. Should we invite him on the pod? Should I DM LeBron?
Yo, you promote my podcast. Look, I promote your podcast. It's an equal business transaction.
We'll pay you an exposure.
We got 240 people in here right now. I think if we get LeBron, We could get at least 1,000
I don't know.
minimum.
Yeah,
maybe
probably.
800. Maybe 800. 1,000's pushing it.
Nah, it's just it only counts if we don't get like promotion from his Instagram or something. You know, if he doesn't tweet out, you know, hey, I'm live on the Shootaround, then you know that would artificially boost our numbers. We'd have LeBron's fandom over here way more than our own guys. We wouldn't want that. You know, we want all the loyal day ones in the chat, not a bunch of LeBron.
So I didn't have time to watch your clip, Nick. So what exactly is your take about this pod? I know what it is, but you know, tell us. Inform the viewing public.
Here's the thing about LeBron James starting a podcast. It's the end of culture. It's over. It's the end. The credits have rolled. It's over. We've been talking for years about like podcasts every single year. There's like more and more unique ways that they think to advertise. There's more and more and more money that gets funneled into it, especially for these limited series. I mean, look at some of these celebrities, these reality stars, how much fucking money they make to do a 10-episode run of a podcast. And you're like, when is this bubble going to burst? When is it going to happen? Because not everything is a bubble. People like to talk about like, oh, when's the gambling bubble going to burst? Gambling is not fucking going on nowhere. Gambling in America, very famously on its last leg. The fuck?
Yeah, when's the tobacco bubble going to burst?
Yeah, exactly. Like, shut up. But podcasting is a medium, right? This is like how we consume information. This is how we spread information. This is like a medium. Okay. Mediums are a bubble. Mm-hmm. They only balloon up just to fucking get popped. It just happened. LeBron James starting a podcast. It's over. This guy getting involved in the narrative is fucking insane to me. And the way that this is going to shift the way that people talk about things, because if fucking LeBron is saying it, then this is the only way that it's true. You know what I mean? And also, as a quick aside, this has nothing to do with anything. This isn't even about my point. JJ Redick oversaturation, holy fucking shit! Like on a generational.
You're over JJ.
Oh my god!
I love JJ.
Like just not everywhere. Right? Do you remember in like 2010 to like 2014, Kevin Hart was everywhere. He was fucking everywhere. That's what JJ Redick is doing right now. He's in his Kevin Hart era. Okay. This
JJ
is literally
the new Kevin Hart. That's a hot take.
This is literally like a LeBron James psyop in real time.
Clutch Media wasn't enough for him, or Clutch Sports, whatever it's called. He had to actually put his voice out there in a very direct way. I feel like JJ is almost like the police there, like there to like really guide the conversation, because when I was listening to it earlier today, they opened up and he was like, I just want to get a few things clear to make sure we're on the same page. It's just like, I get that this is like branding yourselves and like immediately putting it forward out there, but like, why couldn't LeBron say this? Why was it LeBron being like, just want to make sure we're on the same page, LeBron? Like, what's stopping LeBron from being like, hey, I think this is what this podcast is about, right? I think I would have much rather heard LeBron say all those things than JJ.
I feel like there's my whole thing is, and I listened to the podcast, it was good, and I enjoy, like, I listened to the Old Man and the Three, but like, I do think the idea that there's only one way to talk about basketball is a little misguided. Like, everyone's like, if you're not talking about X's and O's and like advanced stats and, you know, like
so
micro skills, I'm like, okay, you don't have to be a Dunks and Threes subscriber, Cleaning the Glass subscriber to talk about basketball. Like, if you just watch basketball on Tuesdays and Thursdays when it's on TNT with your buddies at the bar, that's fine. You can still talk about basketball.
A
that's
little
fine.
pretentious, just more than a little, maybe.
I just hope like there's room for everybody, and like maybe people will get a little more interested and put in like a little bit more legwork if they want to like talk about it professionally. I think that's where some of the improvement's going to be. But like, also, you know, it's okay to be a casual. Like, that's my whole thing, is it's fine if you're a casual. I don't think that should be seen as like a bad thing.
Well, also, like, the shit that they're saying, man, I think even if you are an X's and O's guy, there's a degree of like insider knowledge that's like, if you literally aren't in the NBA, it's hard to have this knowledge, you know? The thing is, like, I'm okay with, I kind of agree with Nick to some point, while also simultaneously being so excited for the content. And I think that's the deadly side of it, is like, it's just too good. You can't deny it. It's like a Walmart moving to your city. It's like everything's burning down, but damn it, the prices are so good. I'm okay with like a Paul George, a guy who's probably not a top 50 player of all time, like those tier of guys being like making a podcast, actively participating in the narrative, because ultimately they're not going to change too much. Whereas like a guy who might be the GOAT, to many people is the GOAT, directly participating in his own narrative to such a comical degree, such a direct degree, it's a little weird.
It's 1984 is what it fucking is.
Look, I don't know about it being 1984, but I do feel
it's Big Brother. It's literally Big Brother. It's the same picture.
I agree with everything you're saying. That's it.
I feel you're gonna watch that shit,
but I'm less upset about it than you are.
Yeah, I'm personally not upset about it at all. I'm cautiously optimistic. I tend to lean more in towards the rising tides, all ships, yada yada yada. I think with LeBron shining a light on NBA podcasting as like a thing that exists as this large developed ecosystem that's like very mature at this point, bringing that to the casual fan will make them be like, oh, I just started listening to basketball podcasts for the first time because LeBron started one. Maybe I should do some other ones. Maybe they'll start at player ones, but they decide that they're sick of player ones and want to do some non-player ones. Maybe they want like an indie angle on their commute that's not LeBron. Maybe LeBron doesn't upload enough for them to feed their attention enough. I think ultimately this is good for people like us who make this sort of content. And while sure LeBron is technically competition now, I don't think we're really competing. I think he's more so bringing some legitimacy to the craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just, as someone who is like pretty granular with my videos, my like immediate gut reaction was like, all right, time to fire up Indeed, because if people can get X's and O's content from LeBron James and JJ Redick, it's like, why would they watch an Alex?
Because they're not going to fill all the time in the day. That's why.
Right. Yeah.
Until LeBron retires, then it's really over for us.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, I really hope LeBron's not like overly in your face in the media constantly when he's retired, but he probably will be.
If he fucking is, I swear to God, don't let me say I told you so, because I fucking will. Because I fucking will.
Listen, I think personally, there he is. What's up, man?
Shout out to LeBron in the chat.
Can we give them money?
I'd like to take Hoodie's dollar and give it to him.
I think a lot of the mythology of Michael Jordan exists because he went away. Like he just like, there's my performance. I'll leave it as it is. I'm not going to be in your ear telling you
Kawhi's going to retire and we're never going to hear from him ever again.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Jordan, relative to how outwardly facing he could have been, like actively shunned like being in the media and participating in that. He was like, I'm done being super famous. That's the reason why. But, in terms of shaping your narrative, if, we're arguing that LeBron's trying to do that, sometimes less is more, and it could potentially oversaturate it to a degree where everyone's like, okay, LeBron, we get it. You're the greatest. Shut up. I do think it could reach that point. Really, what I hope happens, this isn't even true, because even if he doesn't specifically comment on narrative things or whatever the hell, he's still adding to his own perception just by like having this conversation and looking as smart as he is. Like, he is correctly viewed as absurdly smart, as he is clearly indicating with, the knowledge that he's showcasing. And then people are mythologizing him because of that. You know what I mean? They're like, holy shit, LeBron, the most giga brain.
So
genius.
Literally, instead of Michael disappearing into the mist for
he's doing the
years,
exact opposite.
Hold on. And then coming out with this massive hit propaganda piece in The Last Dance to recondition everybody. What you're saying is LeBron is doing it in real time on the fly as he goes along.
I think he's always been doing it on the fly.
Weird. If it barks like a dog, it's probably a dog.
LeBron does have that dog in him.
He's
no
always been saying shit and shaping his. And fine. That's an approach. Dude. If I was LeBron, I would be talking myself up all the time. That's the type of guy I am. But what's better for your legacy or not? I don't know if this is truly like LeBron's just gonna propagandize everyone into his cult.
It's what's happening.
No. Final word on LeBron before
my whole thing is I just don't want to have to get a real job.
That's fact.
This got way deeper than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
Just too long didn't read. LeBron, please don't make me file for unemployment. All I'll say on the matter at this point is, if as the pro casual here, if on my GOAT scale, if LeBron and Michael were tied, the fact that LeBron's a podcaster would make me favor him a little bit more. Some people might make him favor a little bit less.
I feel the exact opposite.
We do got a couple more super chats to get into before we do the playoff game, or we try to go through the playoffs right quick. Yuri said if KD doesn't go to the Dubs, Harden is top 15 all time. The relationship between Kevin Durant or Harden
is
a
pretty good take.
Yeah,
I don't agree, but I think it's
it's fun.
One. It's right.
It's a good one.
It's reasonable as
well.
Yeah.
I'm not going to think about it hard enough. Fuck yeah. That's an awesome take.
I genuinely think the Rockets pushing that Warriors team to 7 is more impressive than some teams' championships.
Loser IMO. Griffin Gaming gave us $5 to say, shout out to Bam for magically developing the ability to shoot a 3. Coach Alex, is this true? Or is Griffin Gaming lying to us?
And then was like, I guess I shoot 3s now.
Yeah, I haven't paid attention since that game winner, but I know prior to the game winner, there was like nothing as far as 3-point shooting from Bam.
He went 2 for 2 the day after the game after.
Hey, you know what? That's a fun development.
Yeah,
good for Bam. Someone said something that I can't put on screen.
What the fuck?
Oh, is it?
He has taken 5 threes in the last 4 games and made all of them. He is shooting. He is shooting 100%.
We should have led with that.
He's shooting 100% from 3 in his last 4 games.
I don't know where Nick went, but I will do him the courtesy of taking him off screen while he's AFK.
He's so
Yo Squiggly said Luka clearly the best player this season, but that does not necessarily mean he's the MVP. Do we agree with that? MVP, not the best player that season?
I don't think I agree.
Yeah, he's not the best
MVP
player.
just means best player that season, more or less?
That's the difference.
I mean, yeah, different discussion. Responding to the take that whether or not Luka is the best player this season, I would disagree with that. But the discussion of whether or not MVP is just the best player in the NBA, that's like a pretty... I think the criteria for MVP changes depending on the candidates.
Yep, perfectly valid response. And then LeBron did in fact donate. Appreciate the donation, LeBron. $2 though.
I feel like
a little bit of an underpay. Yeah,
like
you're a billionaire, man. You could give us $20. He's a big fan. Y'all want 10-day contracts? Please subscribe. I will take the 10-day contract. I think Nick, you're probably out of 10 days, right? You can't use anymore.
I got one 10-day, and then I only lasted 1 day, and I was like, "Fuck, this sucks."
Oh, okay.
And that was for a G League team, so no, I don't want one because that shit is hard as fuck. Dog, you really don't know how far an NBA 3 is until you get onto the court.
Yeah, that's like, fact.
Holy shit, it's this far. It's
dude.
insane.
I had a gym that had the NBA 3-point line that I went to growing up, and I would shoot from there. And it was like shooting trying to shoot like Curry range in high school.
It's just too long. It's crazy.
It's just too long. So now our next move is to predict the playoffs. Should they end today? The seeding probably going to change, but it could stay the same. The West is extremely competitive, especially at the top. And then the play-in throws a big wrench into things overall. But we're going to try our best to get through this little bracket here. Fellas, do we want to start in the East or the West?
East.
We got 1 vote East.
East.
2
Let's
votes
do it.
East. East it is. All right. So kicking it off in the East, we got the Bulls facing the Hawks in the play-in tournament to see who's gonna play one more game in order to get into the playoffs at the 9 and 10 matchup. Who we got? Bulls
the Bulls are going to win because Io DeSumo owns Trae Young.
That seems like a pretty good analysis.
Reasonable. I like it. We'll roll with it.
All right, so the Bulls will advance then.
It's funny how many times he's fucking locked Trae up.
So that knocks the Hawks out, I guess, sending Trae Young to San Antonio. The question is, who are they going to face in this 7-8 matchup? We got the Pacers hosting the Heat right now. Pacers have been on a little bit of a streak, I think, of losing with Tyrese Halliburton doing a little bit bad. He's also, I think someone on this podcast called it money laundering with this recent PT. Who you got in the Heat?
I gotta go
Pacers
Heat.
Play-in? Gotta go Heat, right? You just have to.
The Heat.
You can never bet against the Heat.
Why do we have to? Just because it's the play-in and it's Miami?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna.
We're all traumatized because the Heat have just done the black magic, like just voodoo every single year, where they just shoot 75% on all catch and shoot threes for the entirety of a playoff run. It's like, well, okay, if you're going to do that every single playoffs, then we can't bet against you because it just keeps happening over and over again.
Sure.
You can bet against them at a certain point, but not against the fucking Pacers.
Right. Yeah. That's the other part of it.
It is one game, so anything can happen.
I was going to say,
that's the fun part of the play-in, and I'd have the Pacers beating the Bulls for sure.
Yeah, that's our next matchup with the loser of that series going on to face the Bulls. Gotta choose the Pacers because they're just a meaningfully better team. I mean, if Tyrese Halliburton is hurt, I could see a world where the Bulls really finagle their way in there. But right now, I'm leaning Pacers as well. Seems to be unanimous, even from our alleged Bulls fan in Rusty Buckets. Now, where do we want to start on this bracket, fellas? We got the Celtics 1, best record in the NBA right now, matching up against the Pacers. Then the Knicks hosting the Magic at the 4-5 matchup, both 41 wins, separated by half a game right now. Cavs hosting the Sixers, and then the Bucks hosting Miami.
I think the Sixers might kind of stink a little bit. I was watching.
Yeah, is Embiid back? That's the question for me.
Not yet, but they think he's going to come back before the playoffs.
No, that's what I was saying. Yeah, like
it's like theoretically, if it started today, he wouldn't be back. But like,
no.
That is a good point.
I don't know how to treat that, actually. I really don't.
They just had a game the other. Who the hell were they?
I think
playing?
I might take Cleveland either way. So,
matter of fact,
unless they like really look like I don't feel like they're going to be back in the form they were earlier in that series. You know what I mean? If they're back to how they looked in the regular season when Embiid was healthy, then yeah, I'm going with the Sixers. But I just don't think that's going to happen.
So I guess we all think Cavs because, like, I think the Sixers could do it, but like, I don't know. The Cavs have been really good even without their roster being totally healthy this season. Whereas Joel Embiid entering the playoffs cold and off an injury doesn't exactly lean me in his favor. You know, as a guy who's been playing a lot of playoff games, hurt in his career, and then
it'd be one thing if they had a cupcake matchup, but Cleveland's like good.
Yeah,
they did suck in the playoffs last year, but I would like to believe they can at least be better than they were last year.
Yeah, so we're going Cleveland in that matchup. What series do you want to discuss next?
I feel bad for the Rim in the Knicks Magic series. That's just going to be brutal. That's going to be if you like 90s basketball, tune into Knicks Magic because you're going to find it.
Yeah. Dog, I'm not watching a game of that series. I'm going to be fucking honest with you. I'm just not. I don't care if it's the playoffs. I'm not watching that series.
I'll watch everyone.
Hell no.
You're a sicko.
On like a real like level, I'd think that the Knicks would probably win that series because they would just put Orlando in the mud way too much, and Orlando's offense is not great.
Yeah. Orlando, again, sneaky potential, and like I could see a world where the Knicks blow it because they're the Knicks. You know, speaking as the resident part-time Knicks fan here, who's yet to watch a full Knicks game all season, probably. But yeah, I don't see the Magic upsetting them. The Knicks have the playoff experience, and they're my pick as like the dark horse in the East, personally. So I too think that they should advance. I reckon that'll probably put them matching up against the Cavaliers in round 2. That'll be an exciting rematch. But before we get to that, who else advances?
Dude, the bracket is in place for a reason.
It would be
but like it's the seeding, right? The Celtics get the worst, and the 4th is the best available seed. The Celtics get the worst of them, right?
Right. So they would be at the top playing the Celtics.
The fuck are you talking about?
But it's in. I guess we haven't picked the Bucks and the Heat. I guess we're picking the Bucks.
But it is the Bucks and the Celtics. It just is though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So pull over the Celtics.
Yeah, we're gonna just go ahead and hand it to the Celtics. There's no way that they actually managed to lose. And then I guess I do
think of the teams in the East, I think the Knicks have the best chance of beating the Celtics.
That's an interesting take.
I like it.
I don't think I agree because
I gotta go Milwaukee.
I just feel like well, you're right. Let's save this until we actually get to the second round because we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Unless we're all just picking Milwaukee, which we are.
Yeah, I don't think the Heat stand a good chance at knocking off the Bucks. I could see a world where it happens. I'm not saying it's impossible, but if we're picking someone,
man, look,
we're picking the Bucks.
If you hate the Miami Heat, if you hate their players, their fans, whatever, nothing will feel better than like if Dame has like a great series against them in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that will hit like heroin, dog.
100%.
Yeah, I didn't even consider the Dame versus his supposed to be new team Heat element to this first round matchup. That
now at the
probably
same
the best narrative in the playoffs for round 1.
At the same time, if Dame sucks and the Heat manage to beat the Bucks, then you're never going to hear the fucking end of it. So big stakes on that matchup.
Yeah. So what are we going to break down first? I figured since this is round 2, we might want to go a little bit more in depth here rather than just kind of blitzing through the first play-in and round 1 segment.
Well, Alex's point about the Celtics and the Knicks, I'd like to hear. I'd like to hear.
What's that?
So I just think that the Knicks defensively are kind of designed to take away what the Celtics do the best, which is shoot threes. Like the Celtics are so ridiculously good because not because of, but a big part of why they are so good is how good they are at shooting threes and how many threes they're shooting. And the Knicks defense is good at taking away threes and forcing you out of your comfort zone and forcing you to play differently. And something that we've seen from the Celtics in the few games that they have lost is when they're forced to play differently, either because A, the shot isn't going in, or B, the opposing defense is taking away what they like to do, they can occasionally struggle. So I still think the Celtics win this series, and I would have them as the easy favorite in this series. But I also think of the teams in the East, from like just a matchup perspective, I really think the Knicks could give them a hard time.
I think
in this situation where it's like the Celtics could still sweep the series, but I think it would be frustrating for the Celtics regardless.
I think the Celtics are, of like the past couple of years of teams that have been good, probably the worst at being uncomfortable, and the Knicks make you uncomfortable. So yeah. I kind of get what you're saying.
I think my thing is that, like, if Jalen Brunson has to carry this team as hard as he does in the regular season some nights, like at all against Boston, and he has to go into that mode, it's like, okay, Derek White's just going to get in his jersey and he's going to shut that shit down. And then it's like, well, if nobody else is on for the Knicks, then it's a wrap.
Julius Randle's not going to get off in that series. There's no way.
No.
But I do think Jalen Brunson is kind of coming close to the territory of like, it doesn't matter who you stick on him. He's kind of like just able to get his no matter what.
Jalen will probably be pretty good regardless of what you do. but it's about like, is anyone going to step up after Jalen? And I feel like Julius Randle will suck in that series. Another fun narrative thing is Porzingis playing the Knicks in the playoffs.
Nice, good call.
Another revenge narrative.
Yeah, I just don't think like I think this is over in like 5 if we're being generous.
I kind of love Alex's take. I might steal that, to be honest. Yeah.
You're telling me I've finally made my agenda work. I've gotten y'all to buy in on the Knicks as a postseason
I've been
threat.
bought
this
in on
offseason.
the Knicks for quite a while.
I'm still going Celtics though.
Yeah.
So we ultimately side with the Celtics. However, it's with an asterisk. A full-fledged asterisk. Who do you think that they're going to be matched up against?
In Milwaukee.
Lock it in. You don't think that Cleveland could squeeze by them? I think it's very well possible, especially if they're healthy.
Last year, so
yeah, but this is a new year, new team. You know,
right? But
it's basically like the same team though,
which is even better. Continuity. You know, they've grown together.
You sound like the Bulls front office right now. Continuity.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of continuity. Alex, do you think Chris Middleton is going to be the X factor in this series? Ultimately swings it in favor of the Bucks.
No, Chris Middleton is the Celtics killer, not the Cavaliers killer. So
gotcha.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this upcoming conference finals because we're going Bucks shortly.
Yeah, I would go the Bucks.
All right, Bucks.
Really, it's just they have a superstar and a guy who has been a superstar. Will he play like it? Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe I get a refresh of 2021 Chris Middleton. You said
they
got the Celtics killer. Are we picking the Bucks to get past the Celtics?
Listen, I think if Dame, like, imagine if Dame was just Dame in the playoffs, that like changes everything by like a pretty wide margin. How likely is that? Probably not very much, but that's kind of he's easily the X factor of that team. But yeah, you got to go with the Celtics. Like I've said, the Celtics have no excuse to lose the East, so this doesn't really surprise anybody. The Bucks have more problems. They're not in a variety of different areas. I think the Celtics also have a very good matchup. I mean, the Celtics kind of have a good matchup against fucking everybody because their defense is so ridiculous.
Yeah, number 3 net rating of all time right now.
Right, but like
they're a great team.
They can put Derek White on Dame. They can put big wings on Giannis with Porzingis waiting for him.
They would put fucking Drew on Dame like they did when he was in New Orleans. That fucking when they would trap him.
Rondo.
I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever you
put
want
his ass in jail.
Either way, talk about fucking a ridiculous set of defenders as options. Derek White and Drew Holiday, whichever it may be. Big wings on Giannis to bump him on the initial drive and Porzingis waiting at the rim. Like, I feel obviously Al Horford has had a good record defending Giannis. I think they got a good matchup. And I think the Celtics should find offense easier, especially because the Bucks have not been great defensively. They've been better since Doc Rivers. But also, final point, Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers is a good point.
Yeah, that's the real kicker here.
You think he's going to be like slow to make adjustments, or is there just like a
scheme of Doc Rivers?
He's going to be Doc Rivers. I think,
got his doctorate in choking.
I think that if Milwaukee goes up 2-1 on anybody in this year's playoffs, they need to intentionally lose Game 4. That's their only hope at closing out that series.
So Celtics unanimously then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let me
Nick seems thrilled about it.
I'm just bummed. I just hate when when you do a bracket and it's chalk the whole way. Mm-hmm. You know, like, oh, who made it out of the first round? The top 4 seeds. That's
the West is going to be way more difficult.
Sure.
This is the East.
Sure.
The East playoffs will kind of probably suck a little bit this year, but the West is going to be crazy.
All right. So let's get those Celtics into the middle of the bracket already. I can do it. I believe in myself. You got to love working with a Photoshop in these circumstances. It's not the most efficient, but damn it works. I'll just put them right there for now.
Slow.
Right.
That's
The problem is that you
distance
see
it's had
the
to travel.
screen right here behind me? That's the screen I'm doing this on. If I was at a different angle where I could see both screens instead of using virtual camera to look at Photoshop, this would be way easier. But it's just not. So let's go ahead and get to that Western Conference.
Any day.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry about that. All right. So where are we starting off? We got the Lakers at the 9-10 in the play-in, and the Mavs, Lakers Warriors, I should say, and then the Mavs Suns at the 7-8 matchup.
Look, this is gonna be such a total different vibe from the other conference. It's crazy. Fucking hell. Like even the play-in matchups are super interesting. I'm thinking LA personally. A play-in is crazy though, because Stephen Curry can just have a heater and it's over. You know, it really depends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one is like a toss-up. I don't have a strong opinion either way. This is a hard one.
I do feel like the Lakers, I don't know. When I watch the Lakers and the Warriors, I understand they have a 2-game difference in record, but I feel like the Lakers are just better.
Well, I don't know, because the Warriors lately, like Clay coming off of the bench,
they did play better. Lately.
Even when he wasn't good, it was like, I don't know, it's still Klay Thompson. And like, but now he's coming off of the bench and figuring it out. So you have 20 points a game and like 200 threes a season coming off the bench. And like, that's actually going well. I don't know. I feel like they're kind of starting to figure it out. So I'll say Golden State.
I also feel like it's more of a Golden State type situation. I trust their top end talent just a little bit more. Obviously, Steph Curry by himself is not better than LeBron and AD, but I think Steph Curry is the best player of those three by a meaningful margin. Yeah. And I also trust their supporting cast just a little bit more. I know that LA kind of figured it out at the end of the year last year and made that Western Conference Finals push. And also, it's LeBron, yada, yada. But ultimately, it's a little bit of a toss-up, and I'm just leaning slightly more towards Golden State.
I want to go with LA because they have the best second guy. They have the best second guy by a wide margin. And then third guy, it's Draymond versus D'Lo, which how do you even begin to have that comparison? But
right, that's otherworldly.
Did
one of them. One of
Alex say which one you picked?
I said this is between you three. This is one that
that's bullshit. Whatever.
He said, "How dare you?"
Yeah, that's crazy. We're all doing this.
I agree with the Anthony Davis of it all is kind of like the swing factor for me. It's just like Anthony Davis has been so freaking good this year. And
so it sounds like you're on the Lakers side.
I'm probably
are we split down the middle
a little bit?
Let's go. All right. Man. Do we do a group? Do we do a poll in the on the stream?
I think we do a poll on the stream
while we
figure out the Mavericks Suns.
Yeah.
So allow me to go do that.
Mavericks Suns. Man.
Come on, seriously?
I mean,
what? We're gonna dwell on this?
There's really nothing to think about. It's Dallas, and it's not going to be close.
It's the Mavericks.
It's not going to be close.
Dude, man.
The KD hater is on the side now.
Let me say this. The Phoenix Suns have a -14 net rating in fourth quarters this year.
Yeah, that's pretty
horrible.
Insane. Yeah.
Like insanely bad.
Yeah, I agree. Dallas. I feel good as fuck about Dallas. I was just trying to give Phoenix their flowers, but apparently not.
You don't even like them. You don't.
No, I don't. I don't at all. I thought that clearly I overcorrected. I was trying to adjust from my bias and went too far in the opposite direction.
Dallas is the only team in the play-in that they probably shouldn't even be there. The only team that doesn't even belong there.
Mm-hmm.
They're just better. And you and I were kind of talking about that. I don't remember if it was last night or if it was this morning, but it's dog, if there's a team in the NBA who you do not want to see round one as a higher seed, it's Dallas. Oh my God. Holy shit. Please do not put Dallas on my plate, even with home court advantage. I don't fucking want that. If I'm Minnesota and we just had the best, regular season that we've had and who knows how fucking long, we secure a top 3 seed and fucking Luka Doncic walks through the door. Fuck. Like that dude is a better number 1 than your favorite team. Like, and that's going to be the case for 90% of the league, that they're going to have a better number 1 than you. And they might even have a better number 2 than you. So yeah, I mean, you talk about Dallas and Denver in the first round. What the fuck?
Yeah, I said that's beautiful. That's a god tier series. But I think Luka is just one of those guys. You have a chance if you have one of those guys.
Well, they also have this guy called Kyrie Irving. Who
right.
Difficult game-winning shot I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like not counting just lucky ones from like 3/4 court. Like that's, there's skill involved, but that's kind of just more luck. But like a running left-handed push shot hook game winner is ridiculous. Like Kyrie just being Kyrie this year has been awesome.
Yeah. Finally, he can just be Kyrie playing basketball, and we can leave all the other shit aside.
Do you?
Right.
Go ahead.
I think Nick and I were about to say the same thing.
I just wonder if he's like Alex Mason in Black Ops.
That's not what I was gonna say.
But with like anti-Semitic rhetoric, and someone is like, "What are the numbers, Kyrie?" And he's like trying not to say the most insane shit in the world. Like, I don't know. Like, does he want to talk about what's going on? I don't know. I don't know. What's next, Rudy?
I just want to give the poll a little bit time to breathe. Also, I think it may be bugging a little bit. So we can talk about some other playoff matchups. Anything but the Thunder versus whoever is on the table. We'll put a pin in the rest of the play-in tournament for now, because not every series is determined by the play-in tournament.
I kind of want that Suns Thunder matchup. KD versus the Thunder in the playoffs.
That would be really good.
Come on.
I think the Thunder win that series.
Oh yeah,
pretty not easily. It'd probably be a good series, but like,
dude, about getting revenge on your ex, just stomping out his team in the fucking playoffs with your like bright future ahead of you. That would be glamorous.
Because here's the thing: in order to just sort of speed ahead here, if we can't get the poll to work or whatever bullshit, do we think the Suns are gonna beat the Warriors? Like, are they gonna beat both of them? Because if they're gonna beat both of them, then just move them ahead.
Yeah, the results are in. YouTube was being buggy. It was displaying no results live, but after I ended it because I thought it was being buggy, out of 85 votes, 74% are going to the Lakers. I think that's a reasonable enough margin and gap.
Right.
Fucking losers.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's more of a sweep than I expected.
Yeah, so
I think
close.
Yeah,
these people are dumb as fuck. I didn't know that.
It's not like the Warriors aren't popular too.
Right.
Yeah, when are people going to talk about when are people going to believe in the Warriors? What the fuck?
No one's talking about how no one believes in
the Lakers. Warriors. I think the Suns could beat the Warriors, but not the Lakers, personally.
I kind of agree, actually.
I think the Suns can beat the Lakers too. They have a little bit more top-end talent. According to our top 50, at least.
It's a play-in. It's one game. All of these teams can win all of these games.
I think we put Phoenix ahead of them for narrative purposes, just to get that KD
Yeah, but
matchup.
Okay, so
I'm okay with that.
I have a take.
You were putting Nurkic on Anthony Davis. Go ahead, Alex.
He's nervous. This is going to be good.
So I think, just stylistically, I think the Warriors are a tougher matchup for the Suns than the Lakers are. I think the Warriors are more equipped to beat the Suns than the Lakers. I think the Lakers have a hard time against the Suns. Just stylistically, I think the Warriors, just the way they operate offensively and defensively, I think that defense against the Suns is a more difficult matchup just because of like the length and like the switchiness and like how much they kind of put you in the mud compared to the Lakers, where it's like oftentimes more like traditional drop schemes, occasionally hedging depending on the matchups. I don't know. I would like the Suns, or I would like the Warriors probably a little bit more against the Suns if that was the matchup. Obviously, it's not what we're discussing here, but that was just my take.
I think that's perfectly reasonable. Not to mention, like, the Warriors will have the intel on Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? They have years of playing with their most important player, arguably. So like maybe they know a little bit more of the ins and outs of the X's and O's than us mere casuals, or at least speaking for myself, casual fan here.
I need JJ Redick to tell me what to think.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Is that ultimately I'm going to pause the pod and go listen to this JJ Redick tell me what to think about this. If not him, then LeBron James. But we do have LeBron in the chat, so maybe we could just ask him. As far as the Lakers versus Suns are concerned, I think top end, again, according to our top 50, we're talking about like number 12 and 13 versus number 13 and 14 or something like that. To answer the chat, moderator in the chat, Zay, did you guys do the East? Yes, we did. We did do the East, and unfortunately, your Magic did not advance past the first round. I'm so sorry, Zay. But as I was saying, the top end talent is like very level, and at that point, it's just a matter of supporting cast. I don't trust the Lakers supporting cast even as much as I trust the Suns' pretty mediocre supporting cast. Maybe Bradley Beal decides that he's old Bradley Beal for one game. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there's
that's
also
much more likely than Jared Vanderbilt making a bunch of layups.
There's a coaching discrepancy here as well. Frank Vogel is a pretty solid coach. And
the Frank Vogel revenge game.
Frank Vogel revenge. There's
the narratives in this playoff bracket
so
is insane.
many revenge matchups this year. Holy shit. Frank Vogel versus Darvin Ham.
So are we going comfortably Suns?
I'll concede it.
I don't feel good about either of these.
I might pick the Lakers in
I'm
going to
go with the Suns.
The Suns is a more fun matchup for the Thunder.
Go for it. Yeah. Go for it.
Narratively speaking.
Pure narrative.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're just picking who's going to lose to the Thunder.
Listen, this is what I'm rooting for. I'll tell you that much.
Do we think that we can get a We Believe Sun run?
No, hell no. Hell no.
I would hate that.
I know you would hate that as the
I would be
resident
pissed.
Kevin Durant hater.
I'd be furious if that happened.
All right, so I guess we're trusting the process for OKC to go ahead and advance to round 2. As interesting as that might be, not really interesting enough to discuss at ultra length. The Thunder are just way better, man. Suns have top end talent, like we've been saying, but Devin Booker, probably the third best player in this series. You know, it's not a favorable matchup.
Not saying that OKC's
defense poses a lot of problems for the Suns, who already have a shaky offense.
Do we think Chet can guard KD?
That probably wouldn't be the matchup.
No, it wouldn't. But it'd be fun.
It would be fun.
I keep eyeing. Fuck.
We can't stop.
Do we have
just
more
can't
on the
stop.
Thunder? Like, it seems like we're.
I think it says something about the West that's crazy about the West. That, like, not to say that OKC is like it's not that big of a discrepancy, but the fact that 8 games is the difference between the 1 and 8 seed is so crazy.
Yeah.
Truly. That's why I'm saying, like, this could shake up very differently. Minnesota could be the 1 seed. Denver could be the 1 seed. All those guys are within just like a game or two of each other. And the end of the season will be very interesting for that reason, to me at least. Are we talking about the Nuggets versus the Mavericks series or one of these other ones first?
You're in charge here.
All right. I love it. It's my podcast. Anytime you give me the authority to rein in the whole conversation, it's what I'm all about. So let's go Clippers, Pelicans. I think the Pelicans are like the dark horse that people aren't really talking about in the West. Kind of alluding to why Zion's in the thumbnail. I got Luka in there too, but the Pelicans been really good all year. They got the talent. They got a good coach with Willie Green. It's about time they make some noise in the playoffs. Otherwise, they're going to be officially behind schedule to me in terms of being a competitive team. Alex, I feel like you've been talking about the Pelicans a lot on Twitter lately. What are your thoughts on this matchup versus the Clippers?
So I'm working on a Herb Jones video. That's why I've been so Pelicans pilled lately.
He's feeling the bird.
So I talked about the half-court offense and defense thing, how important that is, and how like it's a very good indicator of if you're equipped to handle postseason play. So there's some good signs for the Pelicans. Since the All-Star break, smallish sample size, so bear that in mind. Since the All-Star break, 104.3 half-court offensive rating, ranked 7th in the NBA. Their defense They have the 4th best half-court defense in the NBA since the All-Star break. They're allowing 92.6 points per 100 possessions in the half-court. That's really, really, really good. I think Herb Jones is the best non-big defender on the planet right now. I think Zion Williamson, we are seeing, like, even though their offense isn't necessarily designed to have Zion put up big numbers, we're seeing what he can do as kind of that offensive engine. I think they have the complementary players to support how they operate. I think CJ McCollum has been one of the most underrated players in the entire NBA this season. He has been absolutely fantastic. I think CJ McCollum is a top 50 player in the league. I like this team a lot. I really, really like this team.
Yeah, they have a crazy amount of wing depth. Really just the most deep team probably in the league entirely. Zion, as you mentioned, the numbers don't pop out like we expected them to with Zion, but I honestly think the way they're utilizing him is probably the most effective he could be, like as that playmaking hub who could just bully you downhill. I feel pretty good about them as well. The Clippers, from what I understand, I haven't watched them recently, but they have not been as like holy shit good lately. So I could see the Pelicans winning this series. You know, if I'm a betting man, I'm gonna go with the Clippers. But I think the Pelicans have a real shot to win that one. I have also been Pelican pilled lately.
I think the Pelicans are like 2-1 against the Clippers this year as well. They have a winning record against the Clippers.
I honestly
think, but still.
Right. I think the Pelicans are. I think they started to figure it out as this season went along. I think there's a good chance they come in next year and are like a top 3 seed. Like if Zion just stays healthy, I think they could really make next year their bitch.
There's a good chance that this might be the most level series of all time at the 5 spot between Zubac and Jonas
I didn't even
Valanciunas.
think about that.
Those guys neutralize each other
like
equalizers.
It's like, oh fuck, we have a mid center who he's gonna match up against. Oh, another mid center. Chill.
I'm feeling Pelican pilled myself. Are we going Pelicans, fellas?
Pelican pill podcast? No, I'm going Clippers.
Alex?
I'll go with the Pelicans.
Nick, you're the swing vote. Pelicans
just for
Clippers?
fun. I'm not.
Clippers.
If I were
Clippers.
putting money on it, I may not do that.
The Clippers have been one of the best teams in the NBA all season. That doesn't just randomly change because they're in a 7-game series against fucking Zion. I don't care about him.
It's more of a matchup thing for me.
Well,
that's why.
Sure. No, I get it. He's been awesome, but the Clippers have been one of the best teams in basketball. I'm just going to roll the dice.
Yeah, I've also said that the Clippers are like a legitimate contender this year. So them losing to the Pelicans in the first round would be a little shocking, but ultimately the Pelicans are good enough to where it wouldn't be a huge shock. I want to vote Pelicans, but democracy has spoken.
I just think the Pelicans are better than like their record. I mean, I guess it doesn't really even. Their record
better than their record is a good way to put it.
I guess it's, but I don't even know if that's
they have
true
a good
with
record.
The West. But with it being the Western Conference, like I think the Pelicans are fringing, like knocking on the door of being a contender.
Do we think the Kings can upset the Wolves?
They're visiting.
Yeah. I feel like the thing with Minnesota, I feel like what the problem with them is going to be, especially when you put them against a team like the Kings, is like when it's bad for Minnesota, it's like they play too fast. Like they just want to go at like 100 miles an hour, but like they're not ready for it yet. And like, I don't know if the guys just have, I don't know what it is, but they're just like never ready for it. But you know who knows how to play really fast is fucking Sacramento with as many playmakers as they have. So I think similar to, I don't know, I think anybody that you put against Minnesota, you're going to be like, oh shit, if only they didn't get matched up against them. It's a lot of these teams though. I think Minnesota's just kind of screwed. I think it'll be pretty easy for Sacramento to win.
I think the bottom of the West is just fucking insane. It's just like the top of the West is.
Yeah.
Not to mention the Kings, if Anthony Edwards like doesn't like go into playoff mode and catches a little bit of a cold streak, they have the best player in the series with De'Aaron Fox. And probably the best complementary piece with Sabonis. Gobert is excellent, but I think Sabonis probably a little bit better. So are we feeling the Kings or
no?
Are we going Wolves?
This is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah,
I can't believe what I'm hearing.
I'm going Minnesota pretty easily. Honestly,
Minnesota's been comfortably great, so that makes sense.
I love the Kings. That's just I can't.
Of like the
yeah.
teams that are seeded 1 through 7 right now, I think the Kings are easily the weakest link.
All right, so Minnesota it is. Gotta respect the Wolves. We got a chat from Adrian talking about how Luka might be the most or the best playoff performer in the league. Excuse me. Do they have a shot against Denver?
Yeah, I think they do have a shot against anyone but Denver. Unfortunately, they got Denver in the first round, so Denver is going to win that. I agree with that, though. Like by some miracle, if someone knocked off the Nuggets, then I suppose.
You don't think Jokic is going to concede the playoff series to
No,
his boy
I don't
Luka
think he's
Doncic,
going
like
to
he is
lose for Luka. That's crazy.
So are we comfortably going Denver? I think the Mavericks deserve like a shout out as a dark horse, and
I think
similar to the Pelicans acknowledge that it's possible, but
I
ultimately
think
go
it could be a
Denver.
good series. I think it could be a good series, and I think Luka versus Jokic in a playoff series is going to be fine wine. That's premium right there.
You think the league will make it go to 7?
That's the good shit. I don't know. Probably
Scott Foster,
I
the
think
extender.
I think 6 is plausible.
All right, Nuggets and 6. That raises the question though: Nuggets versus Timberwolves in round 2. Where are we going?
Russell.
I like how we went
Westbrook.
1, 2, 3, 4 on both sides of the bracket.
Oh, it's going to be different on the West. Oh, the West is going to be so crazy, and it's literally the same fucking picture.
Yeah. No hot
I
takes
mean,
allowed
it
on
was
this podcast.
way closer in all of those.
I tried to put the Kings ahead. I tried to do it, and you guys were like, "Oh no, this is blasphemy." I tried to do it. Denver is winning this series in 3.5 games. Seriously, this is fucking over before it started. It's over.
It was.
I mean, yeah,
it was
Denver's
5
gonna
games last year.
Doesn't matter.
It was
matter.
wait. It was 5 games last year, and the Nuggets themselves said that the Timberwolves were their biggest problem the entire playoffs.
Won't matter.
The Timberwolves almost won without Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, or Naz Reid.
Yeah, but
night.
and they did, and the game was
I'm not.
awesome.
And listen, I don't think the Timberwolves win.
They did.
Clear.
That did happen, but again, because 2 things in my head, when games like that happen, and you get in the dog days of the season.
Rudy, take that chat off the screen. There's
and you see a game like
we've moved on.
The damn the Sixers versus the Knicks the other night. Everybody's hurt. It's just like a war of attrition every single night, and that's what it was for the Timberwolves. And they win a game like that, and you're like, wow, that makes me feel really good for the playoffs. That in against a team like that, even if they have a few bodies out, that Minnesota can still hang because they absolutely could. They almost won that damn game. They probably should have, right? But when it comes to the actual playoffs, and this series happens in 2 months, I'm not going to give a fucking shit about a random regular season game that happened in the middle of March.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, well, dudes were out. They could play. It's the playoffs, dog. It's a different gear. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with Cat? Who knows? But if they don't have him, it's not happening. No way.
Listen, I still think the Nuggets win. My whole thing with the Timberwolves is just that I think they have the personnel to throw a lot of different things at the Nuggets, which is I think we've seen, even if you're not going to beat the Nuggets in a series, the way you bog them down is make them have to solve more problems as the game and as the series goes on. It's not necessarily yes, this thing that you throw at them is going to work. It's more just okay, you're going to throw something at them that they have to solve, and that buys you a little bit of time to maybe even the score or go on a little bit of a run. They're going to figure it out because that's just how good of a team they are. But I think the Timberwolves do a good job of just yeah, we know how to punish your second unit switching 1 through 5, and we're going to abuse the crap out of that for as long as we possibly can until you solve the problem. And that's why I don't think the Timberwolves win the series, but I think it's probably one of the more entertaining series. That being said, Nuggets in 6, maybe 7.
Yeah, I also feel Nuggets in 6. Maybe 7.
Personally would love to see Anthony Edwards single-handedly try to bury the best team in the NBA.
Mao, are we feeling the Thunder over the Clippers, or are we Kawhi truthers?
This is
Do we believe in the no
so
identity
far.
Clippers, according to Paul George? Personally, I'm leaning Clippers because to me, it's the Thunder came into the season, got way ahead of schedule. They don't quite have enough playoff experience to just guarantee a Western Conference Finals run. Then again, the Clippers are also the Clippers who notoriously almost never maybe I think still never made it to the conference finals. Am I tripping?
Once.
Once.
2 years ago.
Yeah, once 2 years. That's what I thought they broke the curse, but I wasn't 100%. I had a little doubt in this moment. But yeah, I'm leaning Clippers, but it's like 55-45. I'll let you guys decide.
I'm in the same percentage with the Clippers. Also, just want to point out Russ versus OKC. How much does he play?
Dude, the
I
narratives.
don't know. The
It's
narratives.
going to be the best playoffs ever.
Even I probably lean the Clippers here.
Yeah, I do too.
Just experience. I value experience a lot.
It's not by a wide margin. You didn't double it, Rudy.
Oh yeah, you're right. Good call out. Be funny if they just
Nick, how you feeling? Nick?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh.
How you feeling?
I'm fucking chilling.
I mean about this fucking matchup. God damn.
I was like, I feel good. What are you
We're
asking
podcasting, bro.
yeah.
No, I agree. I have literally nothing to add. I think you guys hit the nail right on the head about the youth and shit. That was my only point that I was going to make was like Oklahoma City hasn't had a chance to do it before. They're probably not going to do it against a team, built up of a bunch of guys who either have done it or have gotten really close and at least know what it's like. So, it's easy.
For me, Clippers. In order, like teams that could come out of the West, it's Nuggets, Clippers, Thunder, and then after that, I'd be shocked if it was anybody else.
So how are we feeling about this Nuggets versus Clippers matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals? Real quick, because we are getting up on our time limit here, fellas. So as much as I would love for us to break it down play by play, bit by bit, we just can't. So
I'm going with the defending champs.
Yeah.
All right.
We've also seen them beat the Clippers before. I understand it was different teams. I'm not saying it's the same team, but it's the Nuggets.
Nuggets it is. So that leaves us with the Nuggets versus Celtics in the finals. Surprise, surprise.
Who could have seen this coming?
Right. It's almost as if you guys have been saying this since the start of the season. There hasn't been any major surprises regarding either of these teams. So
was this a bad way to spend 45 minutes? Was doing something that we already knew how it was going to end?
Nah, I think it's still fun. Like you can still have a good playoffs even when you know what's going to happen to some degree. Still get good basketball.
Yeah, sure you can. As far as this matchup is concerned, personally, I'm leaning Nuggets, but I'm also a Celtics hater deep down in my core, so I'm a bit biased. Who is our champion if the season ended today?
I am going with the defending champions, with the best player in the world.
Back to back, huh? Even despite the Celtics having 5 top 50 players and Al Horford.
All those drills don't make you a dog when it's wartime, Rudy.
Here's the thing. Is Denver going to go back to back and then nobody cares? Because usually when a team no, hold on. Because Kansas City goes back to back. People want fucking nothing to do with them. They want them to fucking go away. Get the fuck out of here. Boo, Kansas City. We hate the Chiefs. Denver goes back to back. Nobody gives a shit about the Nuggets. They don't. Narratively, they don't. Right? So it's going to be the best temperature that a back-to-back champion has ever had. With a guy who literally can't stop winning MVPs. Being the most like, yeah, that guy's cool in the league. Nobody beefs with the team. Nobody beefs with their number one guy. What the fuck?
God, it's hard to make an argument against any of that. Honestly, I don't have anything to add.
I think
it's hilarious that our bracket worked out this way. Our only upset is the Nuggets beating the Celtics in the finals. That's the only one.
I tried to be their Kings Nation. I tried.
I tried Pelicans fans. I threw my hat in the ring.
I will say, like I said about Boston, you mentioned the top 50 thing, Rudy. If there's any starting lineup in the NBA that can rival Boston's in quality, it's Denver.
Yeah, especially in terms of fit. Aaron Gordon, to me, is like the X factor in this, because if Jokic just has the ability to just throw a lob and they have a target who's going to convert it like 80% of the time or whatever, like that's easy buckets. The Celtics don't quite have that. KP is a good lob threat, but not on the Aaron Gordon level. Maybe I'm tripping in that regard, but like I think that a guy like Aaron Gordon is the genre of player that swings this sort of series.
Sure.
All right, and
we're
with that,
we're an hour 34 in. You could have said anything there. I'd have been like, yeah.
You betcha.
Yep, and that's why this is my podcast. Shout out to everyone who chatted and the 300-something live with us right now. Please leave a like on the stream before we get out of here. And normally we do a Q&A, but we answered like 20 super chats this pod. We legitimately had 20 donations. Thank you so much to you guys. If you're listening at home, be sure to tune in to Also Rusty Buckets on YouTube so you can join the chat, become part of the show. Thank you so much for Nick for joining the podcast. We love having a fourth talking head on the screen with us. We do appreciate you gracing us with your presence, even if we go 5 minutes over your time limit. I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay.